Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Lost Ruins of Arnak, Expedition Leaders. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. One of the most popular strategy games last year was Lost Ruins of Arnak from CGE. Well, now they've got the first expansion that's going to bring in some asymmetry and a lot of other things that you can mix in. Let me show you what comes in this, and I'll see you on the other side. Now this expansion for Lost Ruins of Arnak is called Expedition Leaders for a reason. It's because everyone now will get their own leader with a new starting deck. You'll also have your own powers too. So for example, this is the captain. Now everybody's going to get 4 new starting cards and they're going to have the icon of the face of that leader. And they're going to get mixed in with the 2 fear cards from the base game. So you'll still have the same sort of starting hand, if you will, at the beginning of the game. Now the captain's abilities, he gets an additional sort of an archaeologist that he can send out. So it's basically like having another worker. Plus, if you take any of your workers and you place it on the board here, you can activate the ability of any silver assistant that's out on the board that's on the top of any of the piles, which is pretty cool. So essentially you can do that once per round. Now let's look at some of these cards like this one. If you've placed 1, 2, or 3 archaeologists that round, placing here doesn't count for that, you could get the different bonuses, gold, compass, or tablet there. Where here, different choices for the immediate action, the free action. You can pay a coin to get, to have 2 pilots, or you could get a compass there. Hidden fear, if it's exiled, it's like a normal fear, but if you exile it, you get a compass. So that's sort of the differences there. Now, all the boards, if you'll notice, have blue highlighted on their right 2 spots for the idols. And if you place on here, because you no longer have to go in order now. You could have this be the first one. You activate the blue thing here, which right now here is a compass and a pilot, if you will. Now the Falconer has an eagle, and at the beginning of each round, it's going to move up 1, including the first round. And then there's different effects that allow you to move it. Like you have a card that allows you to do it. When you overcome a guardian, instead of taking its boon, you can instead move the eagle. And there's also effects like the other one before, the amount of archaeologists placed, you can activate this card. One of them is to move the eagle. Now the first 2, you would use it and you would reset it back, and now you could use either this ability or this ability. Those are both free actions. But if it's up this high, for a main action, you could visit a level 1 or a level 2 site and reset it. And that's cool because you're activating a discovered site, whether or not it's occupied or not. And the tracking card allows you to get a compass, and then if you discover a new site, you can draw 2 of the guardians and choose 1. That's pretty cool. Now here is the Baroness, and at setup, you'll add a coin to each of the above round 2, 3, 4, and 5, and they'll get that coin at the beginning of each round. But the coolest thing about the Baroness is they have this card that has a different back from all the others. And this is to remind you that it's always in your hand. Now this is pretty cool because anytime you buy an item, you put it directly into your hand as opposed to putting it, on the bottom of your deck. So you get to use it right away. And regardless of where this card is, even if it's exiled, you get it back into your hand, plus 4 cards at the beginning of each of your turns. So really cool ways. She's all about items. Now the professor's all about the artifacts. Now he has a suitcase. At the beginning of the game, you'll take 3 artifacts from the pile and you'll put them face up. Those are in your archive. This is essentially like private, opened, private, but you can see them, that only you can buy. Now also at the beginning of the rounds, you're going to see a compass and tablets at different rounds. At the beginning of those rounds, you're going to place that on your suitcase. These are sort of resources that are earmarked for your archive. Because anytime you take the buy an artifact action, you can take 1 from the normal row as usual, or you can take them from your archive. But the compass tokens in your suitcase can only be used to buy artifacts, and any tablets here can only be used to be played to activate an artifact. And again, you're getting those resources at the beginning of the different rounds, but there's also these cards that allow you to get them too, like how many artifacts you have, and depending on that, you might be getting more things into your suitcase. And since this is how many you actually have in your play area, you're constantly getting artifacts and trying to play them. Now, the first time your archive is empty, and only after the first time, you get a compass here that you can use to help gain artifacts, and you refresh it to 3 more face up, but that only happens once per game. So he's all about the artifacts, and don't forget the blue items here, the idols, they can activate this, which again, one of them is placing the compass in your your archive there. Now the explorer loves to go out exploring, but you only get one archaeologist. One of them gets removed at the beginning of the game. Now you can go to a place as normal and go to a different site, but you can leave that site and move that single archaeologist to another site by spending a snack token. This one costs nothing. It would come off your board and flip over. This actually goes to the space that you had just left on the board. Make sure no one else goes there. This one costs a coin. At the beginning of the third round, you're also going to get this one, which costs a compass. Now these come back here and they're unflipped at the beginning of each round. So after the third round, you'll have these refreshed each round. Again, and you'll be spending them, putting them on a spot where you are to move somewhere else throughout the game. So even though you have one archaeologist that's going off exploring, spending snacks. However, you can also spend snacks to activate certain cards, just like that. And you still have to pay the cost of those snacks, but it allows you to do different things. Now, the Mystic is about doing rituals. Now, the Mystic themselves, every turn, will get an additional card, a fear card. Now, when they get rid of exile field cards, they go in on their own board like this. Then, if they're able to do a ritual, which can be happened if they exile one of their 4 starting cards, or sometimes some of the special abilities from the spots where the idols are allow you to do this. You can, depending on how many cards you want to do the ritual with, 2, 3, or 4, you can get certain abilities like getting a compass and a gold, or getting an artifact for 3 less compasses, or if you're at a spot with a guardian, overcome it without paying any additional cost, for example. There's also additional spots here than most players have, and if you go here, you'll actually get an additional fear card to your play area, which again will help you possibly exile them to build up for rituals. There's also a new double-sided research track that actually slides right over the main board, and you can play it on either side of the main board, but it says to play on the snake side since the travel costs are more interesting. So you place this over here, and this is double-sided, and this is just different tracks that do different things. For example, like going up this way requires a magnifying glass, going this way is the book, and this is like having a basically a random artifact is placed here, and essentially it's as if it's printed on the board that when you move here, you can immediately enact the ability there. And you can see that the points are, it's different than the other ones as well. This one is the Monkey Temple, and when you get this far down, you can spend any of those to get one of the bronze lower level ones. If you're here, you can do bronze or silver before you actually end up getting to the temple. And there's some other abilities here too, like this allows you to activate a discovered level 1 site, occupied or not. This allows you to refresh 2 different assistants, and this allows you to take this silver assistant action of one that's in the supply on the board. Now this is the lizard side of the temple, and so here, like the other side, you can from here get bronze or silver, paying the normal cost. Here you get bronze, and in this row here, interesting that you're getting up here, you're getting 20 points at the end of the game, but you're also getting 2 fear, for example. Now for this here, it's a volcanic eruption. You'd actually have 4 of the idol tokens here. And when your notebook gets here for this reward, you essentially activate any unoccupied level 1 site, and then the volcano erupts, destroys it, and you return that, any guardians on it back to the box. Then you get a new one, and you basically would put the new idol there from that. And when you go here, you actually have to pay for this with 2 tablets, but also one of the idols that is not already put in a spot in one of your slots on your board. There's actually a slot for the Guardian towards the bottom here. Anytime the first player gets here, a Guardian comes out, and they must be overcome by somebody before this can get removed and players can go ahead. But anyone that's in this spot without the Guardian being overcome has to gain fear at the end of the round. There's also these campsite tokens that you'll place your archaeologists on, and when you've passed for the round, you'll flip it over to remind everybody who's passed. There are 18 new items in this expansion that you can add. There's a little icon on the bottom if you've wanted to remove them from the base game. You can pause it here and see what all these do. I'll just bring up my 2 favorite ones are the landing net, which is for the rest of the round, free action. You get the 2 coins, and for the rest of the round, whenever you buy an item, you put it right on top of your deck. Also the cameras, you can activate any level 1 site in a row where you've already placed an archaeologist. But you can pause it here to look at the rest of these. There are new artifacts in the expansion, again with the icon in the bottom and the middle, so you can take these out if you want to. But you can pause here and look at what these do. My 2 favorites are the one-eyed statue. You're turning in a ruby to get 2 tablets and 2 arrows, or the stone key, which is move one of your idols on your player board from a slot back to your supply crate. It's pretty cool. But pause here to see the rest of these if you want to read them. There's 5 new Guardians, and I like that 3 of them you can do something to do something else. Like immediately you can discard a card to get an arrow, discard a card to get 2 tablets, or discard a boot to get 2 of those. So different things from the base game for sure, and of course the art's gorgeous as usual. There are 5 new level 1 sites. Again, art is amazing as always, and as you can see, different rewards there. There are also 3 level 2 new sites that you can mix in with the deck. There are also 4 new assistants that you can just mix in with the normal deck. Again, there's an icon there, and giving you more variety of which assistants you might get throughout the game. There's also 4 new idols that you can have in the game. Some of them gain you fear and an arrow, some like exile, and another one that gives you a tablet. There is also a red moon staff, which is a variant that allows you to remove not just 1 card on either side of the staff, but actually 2 cards on either staff. Since there's more cards on the deck, you might want to do this to see more of the cards. Yeah, the big star of the show, of course, are the 6 asymmetric leaders that have their own decks and abilities. And I went through all of those in great detail to show you that. And I even said in the rules that you can, hey, if you're playing with someone who's maybe not that great with the game, or not that experienced, you can start them out with some of the earlier characters, like the captain. But if they're really experienced and they're diehard gamers, then you can give them one of the ones like the explorer or the mystic, and do things like that. So I like how they brought them in as like different levels of complexity as well. But that's great. Starting cards, all the different abilities, the way you can do your idols in different orders. I was a little surprised that you didn't have starting decks in the base game, but there was enough going on in the base game that you didn't need to throw that thing in there. So I'm glad they came out with this because it is awesome. Play a different character every time, gives you a different feel, gives you some different strategies, gives you some cool little asymmetric powers that you can use. It's really cool. I like the 2 new research tracks. Doing that, going to give you more variability. Now the other thing is that the rules talk about that I found as well is that the research tracks. Now, if you play with the new research tracks, you're going to want to play with the new powers because they're harder to go up. You can get more done. If you found the first 2 maps hard to go up, then this is going to help you go up further. If you found those kind of easy to go up after you figured out how to play the game really well, then you're definitely not going to want to use the asymmetric leaders with the first base board research tracks. It'll be too easy for you. So they've sort of balanced it where it's like you get more done, but the tracks are harder to go up. And that's kind of cool too. I like that the new items and the artifacts, you can, as I showed you my favorite ones there as well. But I like that the majority of these things, between the artifacts and the items, and the new sites, and the idols, and the assistants, and the guardians, the majority of what's in this expansion, you can just mix into the expansion. My favorite types of expansions are ones that you can mix in with the base game, forget about it. You don't have to learn new rules, it's all on the cards or the tokens or whatever. Like these, I love those style expansions because so often I get expansions, it's like, I don't want to relearn all the setup. I don't want to relearn all the new rules. I got to figure out which things to pull out. And it's like here, it's like most of it is just mixed in. I just have like the cards for the leaders and the tokens for the leaders separated with their cards. Now it's like, hey, every time I play it now, I'm always playing with the new items, the new sites, the idols, assistants, the guardians, the artifacts. Automatically in there, never have to think about it. I love that. Then if I want to add a little complexity to it and play it with somebody who's already played it before, then I can bring in the explorer, the expedition leaders. Really good. It's sort of a good balance there. Overall, this is much like what CGE does all the time, is pretty much a home run. So this is, if you liked Lost Ruins of Arnak, this is pretty much a no-brainer here. Great expansion. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing thematic premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.